Welcome to the Better Buy, where I give you the information you need on the stuff that you want so you can make the better buy. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the quick button for the Go 3 so that you can set up your filming parameters and quickly move through whatever video settings you need when you're out and about filming. If this video helps you and you enjoy my style, please like the video and subscribe to my channel because it helps me, motivates me, and encourages me to keep making content like this. Let's get into it. First thing you're going to do is press the button to get into the menu. When you tap it, you're going to see all of the options in front of you. Okay, now what I'm going to do is simply tap this and that'll show you that I'm already in the filming setup. All right, if you just leave it, for instance, like that, like let's say you've pressed the button and you're waiting for it to go over, we'll go ahead and go to the biking one just so you can see the switch. The camera will recognize that it's been sitting there for a second and it will pull up the video shooting option. However, if you want to move more quickly, you can obviously tap it, or you can press the record button and that will take you straight into the filming option. And then you can press record again and you'll be good to go. Just something to be aware of. If you tap this, it will always move over to the next one. So if you're on one, it doesn't just bring up the menu when you tap it. It brings up the menu and it rotates the menu over one. So be aware of that when you're working with the camera, but it's not a big deal. I think it can be useful depending on your workflow. Now, I'm going to go back to the first one. You tap the little edit button in the bottom right corner here, and that's going to give us all the settings that we can modify. I'm going to click the skiing thing and change this to custom 1. Now, if you go back in here, you can see you've got 5 custom fields, and that's more than enough for anything anybody would need. And then we're going to go back out. And now I've already set my shooting parameters up for these, so I'll show you what they look like. You've got the free frame mode, which is what I've selected, and then I've got 16:9, 1440, 50 frames per second. The reason for that, and then this is on auto and this is on ultra wide. The reason for the free frame mode for me is because I like to be able to change my view in post, my ratio 16:9 or 9:16, and I want the 50 frames per second because I want to have the ability to do a little bit of slow motion when I'm editing in post for this kind of content. And then I'm going to go over to you'll see it change to C1. We're going to go to the bike and I'm going to tap the edit again. This is going to become my C2. So if I go here, I've already got that set up for free frame mode again, all right? And then I've got my 16:9, 1440, 30 frames per second. And then we go back down, we've got the auto and the ultra wide. Now the reason for the 30 frames per second is because I like to have the ability to just film without having the slow motion. It has to do with motion blur and stuff like that. So just personal preference, but be aware of that. If this is already helping you, please like this video so that other people can get the benefit and comment below some of the things that you learned. Now, this is going to be the outdoors one. I'm going to change this to, let me go ahead and do that. Sometimes it's tough to get that little right corner there, but it's not too big of a deal. This is going to be my custom 3. And for me, I've got this one set up in the video mode, all right? Now, you've got all of these different options for this stuff, but I'm just using video. I'll show you all those options in a second. Then we've got 16:9, 2.7K, 30 frames per second, and I have it set to high stabilization. The standard stabilization is probably good enough for almost anyone, but I do a lot of like run filming or motion filming, so I just keep those in the high stabilization, and you could always quickly modify that when you're out doing your thing. You just get to the quick setting and then in the settings on the screen you can change it. And then down here I have everything set to auto, but I change my my picture profile to flat, and that's because when I'm filming in 2.7K I like the ability to do a little bit of editing in post. And then I use the linear because that's the way that I want the footage to look as far as the FOV, the field of view. And then we're going to go to the number 4. I'm going to tap here. Oops, once again, you can see how that works out. I'm going to tap there, change this guy to custom 4. And then once again, this one is video. And then I'm going to have this set to 1440, 50 frames per second, 16:9 ratio, high stabilization. The reason for the 1440 and 50 goes back to that first one, which is because if it's at 50 frames per second, I can do some slow motion in post, and it allows you to just kind of get some nice little shots at the end if you're trying to do B-roll or things like that. And then for the auto, I'm once again doing it vivid right here. And then, or the shooting parameters and the field of view I have wide because this one is going to be baked in. The reason to do these for me is because when I am out filming, if I know that I'm not going to need to reframe the shot or I'm not going to bother with any sort of flow state stabilization in the app, then this allows me to quickly go from the camera to the editing without having to do any processing using the Insta360 app. So when you film in free frame video mode, in order to use the video, you have to put it through their app. Otherwise, you're just working with a circle video. So this saves me that process. I pretty much never use this because it's just not that big of a deal for me to process the video through the app. But if you're trying to avoid that, this would work. And obviously you're going to use that if you're working with a phone as well. I basically only use the desktop version. Now let's go to my last one, which I called it skiing, but that's really just because it's my slow motion one. So I'll show you this really quickly, and I have to scroll that way. If I hit edit, nope, that's really annoying, but I'm going to leave this in here so you can see what you have to deal with. And once again, you got to be really careful with that little corner. There we go. So you're going to hit slow motion for this one, and I'll go through these really quickly just so you can see. You've got video, free frame, time lapse, time shift, slow motion, loop recording, photo, HDR photo, interval, and star lapse. And I'm not going into the rest of those right now, but they're there. And then you've got the slow motion parameters, which you cannot change. So that's just something to be aware of. And then as far as these parameters go, obviously you can change these kinds of guys, the ISO, the exposure, and that kind of stuff. And then I have it set to ultra wide because typically with slow motion, I'm going to want a wide field of view. One thing to note about the slow motion is that when you are filming in it, the camera has to be turned vertically. All right. So if you want the shot to be like, if you want the shot to be a horizontal shot, a 16:9 ratio, then you have to have the camera facing like this, and you'll see it changing in the screen right there. If you have the camera facing this way, then it's going to be a vertical shot. And that's been a problem for me because on my surfboard, my camera is mounted this way, all right? Whereas if I wanted to get a horizontal slow motion, I need to spin it this way. So I actually don't know how much I care about that. I might try some slow motion this way in the future, but for now it was something that I was like, that's kind of annoying. So I wish that there was a way that it didn't matter for slow motion, but it has to do with their sensor and their setup. So just something to be aware of if you're trying to work with slow motion. That should cover basically everything you need to know about setting up the quick menus and what I use and why I use mine. I hope that this helped you. If it did, please like the video, comment something that helped, and just add some encouragement to everybody else. If you're having issues, ask the questions in the comments because I'll get in there and help you out. And at the end of the day, it would be great if you could subscribe because that helps me grow and reach more people. And my goal is to give you the information you need on the stuff that you want so you can make the better buy. Hopefully this did that. I'll see you in the next one.